it has always been a protocol. Somebody comes in, what's your problem? Got a pain in my knee. Now, I'm inclined to then talk further. Okay, how long have you had that? Blah, blah, blah. You talk that through. And how are you otherwise? Have you had any problems in the past? Have you had your childhood injections? So they start thinking back of the childhood. Oh, I don't know, my mother, blah, blah, blah. Okay, before you were 10 years old, did you have any stomach problems, any breathing problems, any allergies, any fevers, any, and I talk through, and I also see how they respond. No, I didn't have this, yes I did have that, yes I did have that. According to yesterday, you then start to get a sense of the character of the person and how they structure their life, or where they say, oh yes, and I had this and I had that. To bring you all their life, they want the sympathy in terms of 5 elements, and then you work further with that. So it is not a bad thing to do that. But sometimes it's okay. I see somebody, I have little time, I just give them a consultation, just so I can meet them, no charge. They can see me, this is what I do, that's how we're going to work if you want to come. Yes, I think I can help. And then they say, and here's the pain. I say, oh, let's just do a test session. Just put the thing on, give them a very short session, and when they come back, oh, that really worked. And then they come very positive for the follow-up treatments. Then when you've decided for an area or zone to work, you can explore that zone. And there is a specific order. And it is from above to below. If you work on the spine, you start at the top, you go to the bottom. You don't go the other way. It's like rubbing a cat or a dog up the wrong way. There is the rule of going from left to right, and that relates to the spiral in the body. And there's also the rule to work from the center outwards. In a way, all that matches the law of cure. In a way, you show the body how to work with symptoms. To get them from the inside you work, you clear out. You clear out in a certain way. When you brush your stairs down, you don't start with the bottom step and then go to the next step and then the bottom step. So in the same way, you start at the bottom, at the top step, and then you go down, and you go down, and you go down. In the end, the stairs are done most efficiently. That's what you want to happen. Then manners in which questions are asked from the system. When you measure and when you work, you ask questions. And you can do that with insistence. If somebody comes for treatment, or you meet somebody, how are you? I'm fine. Okay, you sure? Yeah, I'm fine. Are you sure? Well, and then something may come out. So you can do something similar with Scanner. You can ask with greater or lesser insistence. And that is dictated by the algorithms. Algorithm, the manners in which one used to work, that Ravenko has designed. You can also ask questions at some point by confusing. There are, in the old system, I haven't used them very much, and I don't use them. But there is a way of working with the old system where you confuse horizontal 3s, horizontal 9s. You go boom, 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 oh there. Is it there? Boom, I think it's there. Is it there? No. And that's the sort of approach, and then suddenly the body starts to give away the next time. Yeah, okay, this is what is happening. The Evan-var and D-var is great double var. It's the old devices, no worry to you. That is with great insistence, as I told yesterday. In a way, you force the body to give some kind of reaction. So, all that foregoing works for the scanner of old, as I call it. The automated scanner, you can still use in fashion like that, only you don't use Evan-var, double var. And the cosmotic still has to be studied in this respect. It is fairly new as far as I'm concerned, and I don't like to jump to conclusions. But I still follow these protocols and see what is happening, and see how we can work in a different way. There's certainly nothing wrong to work in this order. So I'll show protocols. This is working on the point of pain. I call that a single point approach. Now, this is already a step up. The most simple way of working is there's the pain, but the number one is you put the device on and you hold it there till it doses. But you can do that if there is a very specific point of pain. Now, I'm happy with that, even though I would like to look more in the background of the person, because as the pain is there, the body has brought the pain there. So the body knows how to relate it back to the rest of the system. Up to a point. So there's certainly no harm in doing that. So you work and you read in the order indicated. If you want to make a little protocol out of that, there are different ways of going about it, and they're all fine. You can put if the pain is there, you put the device there and you dose. And that could be the end of it, but you can then also measure 2, 3, 4 and 5 in that order, and then you dose again the highest of those. Or you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and you dose only the highest. And you will find sometimes that there's the pain, but it wants to work there. I've had, working on a shoulder, somebody had a pain in the left shoulder, and I, just out of interest, measured, and definitely the right shoulder stood out way. So I worked on the right shoulder. And the person said, "Oh, that's funny, I can feel that in my left shoulder." Reassured me and him that I was doing the right kind of work. Because sometimes a person is concerned, but that's not what the pain is, what are you doing? So you have to explain that. So that is on the point of pain, and you can do that in a different way as well, because I spoke about the symmetrical zone. So you can see that this area that we point out is symmetrical to that area from the line of the spine and the same level. Yeah? So what you can do is measure that one and measure that one, and if 2 comes up higher, you do that pattern there. And with Cosmotic, certainly you can measure again. If then that one would come up high and you want to give more treatment, you can do that one as well. Or you can leave it at that as a first treatment, because you're always looking for the minimum amount of interference, as far as I'm concerned. The less you have to do, the better it is. The more natural it will be what's going to happen. And that's all you want. Now, I haven't given pictures of all the reciprocal approach. I say you consider all reciprocal positions. Reciprocal meaning left, right, up, down, front, back, inside, outside, proximal, distal, arm, leg. Somebody has a pain in the knee. A reciprocal position is working on the other knee as well. Working on the elbow, on the opposite side. And I don't know, I don't have enough medical background to substantiate that, but Ravenko certainly will, in terms of the development as a fetus, how cells divide, how we go, that there is that relationship between all those aspects. And it is also known in Chinese medicine. I've had people before with acupuncture who would have a problem with one knee and you couldn't even touch it. You then work on the other knee. And you'll still come across that. There is RSD, reflex sympathetic dystrophy. Renata came across it recently, and I've had a few people now. And something goes bad in a certain joint, and it becomes so painful and it spreads through the leg and you can't touch it. You then work on the other side. And you'll often find if you've worked on the other side that then you can touch it. There are areas at least you can touch it, and that way you can slowly approach more and more. So that's when it's useful. But you can support the treatment with working there. You can work on the inside of the lower leg and the outside of the upper arm as a total contrast. Yeah? That is reciprocal. On the back, there's a problem here. You can work there. Or you can work here and here. Or here and totally opposite there. Yeah? So the inside-outside I refer to inside of one of the leg, for example, outside the arm, or vice versa. Yeah. So it is worthwhile considering that. Reciprocal positions. As a variation, the point of pain. I call this the 9 on point of pain. I'm not always keen on the name Galena. So I call it the 9 on the point of pain. Order as indicated. So instead of doing that cross, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you can do 1 and read and dose, and then you compare 2 and 3. They're all variations on a similar pattern. to make the most of what you're reading. And if you want to do little, you treat the point of pain. If you want to extend on it and do more and more, in a way it's greater insistence to the body, then you do the 9. So you treat that point, you dose. Then you compare 2 and 3, and you dose the highest of those two. 4 and 5, dose the highest. 6 and 7, dose the highest. 8 and 9, and dose the highest. Yeah? And if you want to do less, there's nothing wrong in reading all the way through and dosing only 1. So instead of the cross you have 8 around it, and you may find that it's not in the cross that that one or one of those needs the second treatment. It's not uncommon at all that you're not quite on this point of pain where you find you need to treat. Yeah. So what I also do myself, and this is not in here, somebody comes with a shoulder pain there, I will measure along certain lines, just from top to bottom. Make 3 lines because of the width of the device, and then go from outside to inside. The back is more the outside, this is more the inside. And then go down here, go down there, and treat the highest. Yeah? And that is not always on the point of pain. But often people say, oh, I can feel that there. And sometimes, most of the time, you'll find that the point of pain stands out. You say, oh, I find this the real spot. Oh yeah, that's it. Which also gives great reassurance. And it does pick up the area that it needs to treat. No doubt. And now we come to the most important one. Ta-da! The 3 pathways. And why that one is important to me, you'll realize if you were here yesterday, when you go over the pathways there and there, you contact all of the system, the whole functioning of the whole system, because in terms of Chinese medicine, and that's where I got it from, and that's what I went to introduce into Scanner, you then work on the whole system. Of course, Rovenko knew that when he divided this as the basic, most general zone. And it is very good that when you're working, certainly with a person with chronic disease, that as you are working locally, you want to make sure not only that all of the rest of the system stays nicely in balance, you also want to be sure that it builds up in health, that you prevent disease. There's a person in front of you, they have a pain in their elbow, and I believe that it is not good enough as a practitioner who knows better that you just treat the elbow and say, okay, go on your way and leave me the dosh, because there is a person there, and if you see that, well, it wants to work on the heart, perhaps there is a heart problem, without knowing what it is, you work on it till it resolves. I think that's an obligation as a practitioner. So you measure first down the vertebral pathway, the center line, and you start there. You leave out C7, the vertebra cervical 7. You start there, and then step by step by step by step you measure till you are right at the coccyx, and then you go to 11 and 12. Most of the time you'll have space for only one area. And because the electrodes are so large, Dr. Arena, I find that sometimes it's difficult, because the neck can be like that, and it's very difficult, so the contact area you have is small. And it is a problem because there is a bit of a variety. Yeah, different spaces. It does switch itself on quickly, doesn't it? So sensitive. Somebody by mistake put it once on a bit of a chicken wrap, I believe, and it started working. How can that be, said the Karasev. What is it doing? What does it think it's treating? And Karasev said, well, it found some organic tissue and it's trying to work with that, but it's obviously not getting very far. Which was funny. So that's how you measure. First down there, and then you go to the left and you do the same, there and there, and then you go to the right and you do the same, there and there. These are called the paravertebrals. I have understood that it is Karasev's opinion that you do not have to do the 6 points when you do the 3 pathways. That he sees, and that is not explained by Rovenko, that the 3 pathways, or the 6 points, activate the 3 pathways. so that the whole thing becomes more effective. But he says that it is not really necessary, particularly not when you're using Cosmotic. So you can then go about it in different ways. If you want to do a very light treatment, you measure all three. You make notes of the highest value. I do that by putting a little line. If I go one value, hey, that's much higher, I put a little line there. And then I know exactly where to go back, because you want to go back to the same position, otherwise you create confusion. So you measure them all, and then you treat the one spot. If you want to up the treatment,
did you just say you treat the one spot?
Yeah, then you treat the one spot. So you measure all three pathways, and then you treat the highest reading. That's the most basic way of working. The next step up, and we can start to name them if you like, is you treat the vertebra and you dose the highest. Then you treat the left paravertebral and you dose the highest, and then the right one and you dose the highest. So you've given 3 doses.
You're not doing it all the way down, you're just picking the...
All the way down. You measure the whole thing first. So you measure, high value, little line, measure, higher value, again a line, measure, okay, that was the highest, that's why I dose now. Then you go to the left one.
Dividing into sections?
I don't divide it into sections, because the effect is, and I'll show you later if there is time, I think, that once you've pressed and measured, and you take it away, you can see the indication on the skin. I've never missed it. I've always seen the indication. So I see this electrode, the size of the electrode, and then you do the next one. And you want to make the space in between as little as possible without overlapping.
Okay, so you along the spinuses, you measure them all
Yeah.
the way down from T1 to coccyx.
Yeah?
And you find out which one is the highest.
Then you go to the neck, and then you find out which one is the highest.
And then go, so the
So you
one, are you going to do one treatment there from C7 to coccyx, or are you going to do from the whole spine, from
You measure all 12, as they are named 12 here. You don't always get to there. So you measure them all there, and then you dose the highest of what you found all the way there.
And then you do the same for the rest?
And then the same for the left, and then the same for the right. You can, if you want to go further from there, once you've done that, measure again. I regularly do that. When I've seen somebody a few times, I then measure again, measure all of them. So say I've given a dose on this one. A dose is that you keep it on, gives you a signal, it's done. And then on that one, and then on that one. And then I measure them all the way through, measure that one, and I give one dose on the one left that's highest. And sometimes, after having treated once, there is suddenly a different one, sometimes it's the same, a different one that really stands out. When that happens, I know something good has happened, because the body is giving a real signal, there it's one to work, and then I dose that one. And I know that's going to be a good treatment. I find that they all are fairly equal. There's one that stands out a bit, and then I just leave it. I'm not going to respond to that. I want to have a real indication for the second one that something is thrown up. Otherwise I let the body get on with it.
And when you worked with that Lyme's case, you said one is really...
With the Lyme case, one came up in terms of it took a long time to dose.
Okay.
And after the 45 minutes, I didn't do another one. And it's because I am a practitioner and I book people for an hour,
Sure.
which is space enough, but at the same time, you know, one is limited.
So
Say it again.
if you're on that point for 45 minutes, are you talking to him while that is happening? What?
I put my finger on and I go around the guys, woo.
Entertainment is the key. You know?
No, this is shamanism. This is more serious. This is serious.
Do you talk to your patients at that time? Because some people would think, well...
I sometimes talk, I sometimes not. Yeah, it depends on the person and what's happening. I ask regularly, can you feel the signal? I regularly draw their attention to the spot I'm working on. Because that just gives that little bit extra. It's not a necessity, but it does help. And I would suggest to use every third or fourth session the 3 pathways. just to make sure that everything stays in balance and that general health is improving as well, because it does do that, no doubt.